We have a lot of different pages for Lab 1, so let's kind of walk through what we have here. I think a good place to start is at the bottom of this page. This is the file that you would have gotten if we had in-person labs this semester. This is the exact same explanation of why we're doing the lab and what is being done. So I would recommend reading through that. This is the procedure. Here is the data table, the calculations you're going to have to do on the lab, and the what's needed in the conclusion, and the error analysis questions that you have to answer. So all of that is going to be the same. You can download it or just open this preview window and take a look at that file. At the end, I have a sample for what the lab report should look like over here as well, and then some videos to look at. The next page is the page where you'll actually be submitting the assignment. So maybe that should have been the last page, but it's the next page. And it's kind of helpful maybe to take a look at it because this is the rubric that will be used to get the points for the lab. The next page after that has student data. I'll go ahead and take a look at the file. It's an Excel spreadsheet of what data each student is going to be using. So let's see if we can zoom in here. So you might want to download it instead of just taking a look through the preview. And I'm going to replace this with the names of the students in the class, and then you should be finding your name. You might want to write a little notes on what all of the columns mean. So this table represents the data that you would have gotten if you had done the lab yourself. So you would have measured paper O for the first part of the lab. Then you would have collected water in a graduated cylinder during the second part of the lab. So you would get a graduated cylinder reading. You would have weighed a beaker. So this spreadsheet is meant to give you the data that you would have gotten yourself in lab. And the other video of the lab equipment is supposed to show you what it would have looked like while you were getting this data in lab. So this one line here represents all the data that I would get. I'm pretending that this row is for me. And what I did was I just started a little table in Microsoft Word and took down all of this data. I would have just done it in a notebook on the side, but I wanted you guys to be able to see it, so I did it on the screen. So this is all the data that I collected during lab. Let's go to the bottom of that page. The next page on Canvas shows the paper photo files. Well, part of them, there's a lot of papers, so we have paper photos A through G. I need the next page maybe because I need to find paper O. That's the paper that I measured. Okay, so we have paper O, and what I would have done is measured the length with a 10 centimeter ruler. I was hoping these would just open in another tab, but they seem to be downloading. And this is what it would have looked like in lab when I measured with a ruler that only has lines every 10 centimeters. So I would take down my data here. So some of the Excel spreadsheet boxes, instead of having a number, they have the name of a file, and these files are pictures that you need to look at yourself. So if you have some issues opening any of these pictures, then just let me know, and hopefully I can help with that. So these are the paper pictures. So 10 centimeter ruler. There's some pictures with a 1 centimeter ruler, a ruler with marks every 1 centimeter. There's a little close up here. There's also a 0.1 centimeter ruler. That's what this looks like. Marks are every 0.1 centimeter. The numbers are still every 1 centimeter. So these other lines are too close together. They can't have a number for every line. So you'll notice that the numbers are still every 1 centimeter, but there's extra lines, or there are lines every 0.1 centimeter. All right, so those are the paper pictures. If you got a paper later on in the alphabet, you would be at this page. And then there's some graduated cylinder photos. Let's take a look and see. So the first graduated cylinder in lab, we're pretending that I filled the graduated cylinder and it looked like the graduated cylinder 207 picture. So you want to read the very bottom of the meniscus, the very bottom of the curve that the water makes, and then also again, there's lines every 1 milliliter on this graduated cylinder, even though the numbers themselves are only every 10 milliliters. So the bottom that we're reading is between these two lines here. So this gives you practice in reading rulers, reading graduated cylinders. And then we also have some burettes. Portions 4, 5, and 6 are done with burettes. So again, we have some burette photos to read. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, that one's a little bit blurry. Some of them are a little bit more in focus, but we have lines for the burette. We have every 0.1 milliliters. Also, the burette is a little bit different because the lower numbers are above the higher numbers. So this reading, the bottom of the meniscus, is between 7 and 8. It's not 8 point something, it's 7 point something, and it's actually 7.9 something when you read that one. Maybe 7.95. All right, so you would go through your data that you have it maybe written down, or you could type up a table like this, or you could actually start typing your lab report and have data tables and put the data from the Excel spreadsheet directly into your lab report data tables. And then you would use that, especially the names of the files, to take a look at these burette and graduated cylinder and ruler measurements to get that data. Okay. Go back to the modules. After that, you would type up a lab report and save it as a PDF. Again, I have a sample here on this very first page that says Lab 1 Start Here, back where we started. And once you have your PDF saved and typed up, you would go to this Lab 1 measurement page and upload the PDF. And that hopefully gives you some idea of the Lab 1 experience.